more I practice, the more it just becomes what I do. And less about something I have to think about. But if you don't practice, you think, oh, that's not working for me because I'm missing. Sorry for the whiny voice. But that's what's going on in your head. You may justify it in a completely different way, but that's because we don't like to tell ourselves that we're cowards, or that we're frightened, or that we're no good. What we want is success all the time. We don't want to fail. We learn nothing from success. We're just successful. But if we fail, and then we work at how to get success, we learn how to be successful. So anything becomes a possibility of success as long as we're prepared to work at it. The guy I shoot with on a regular basis tells me that the people in his target archery club only like, let's get another ball. They shoot at around 20 paces in a gym. They don't want to shoot outside. They don't want to shoot longer distances. And a lot of these are young people who you would think would be more willing to take a risk. And yet they seem to be risk averse. That may be the way we've mollycoddled them at school, at home, because we want the best for them. But in doing so, we weaken them. They're not willing to fail. They're not willing to look stupid in other people's eyes. All they want to do is succeed. And if they don't succeed doing something new, they just won't do it. A lot of them want to be in a safe space all the time. The world is not a safe place. Never was, it never will be. There's always going to be something or someone willing to do you harm. And if you recognise that, you got more chance of surviving, being successful. But we don't like change. Why? Well, from a survival aspect, change is generally dangerous. It's generally some animal who wants to kill you, or some person. Or it's a disaster, or a storm, anything. But it will always be something which is dangerous to us. So for that reason we don't like change. Our normal, natural first defense is to reject it and stay with what we know. That keeps us safe. And this is because our first response to anything which is new is to reject rather than embrace. I wrote about this in a book I published in 2017 called Zhouyi, spelled Zhouyi. One soul, two personalities. It's under my pseudonym JG, Jaygi. And the reason I wrote that book is because I discovered the 4 phases. I wasn't the first to discover it. But it took me 20 years to understand it. In the Zhouyi, I explain what I did realize eventually was that what I had come to call the 4 phases was the essence of the Zhouyi, which was an ancient book in China, well, pre-China. And it was written by the Zhou, who were a people who ended up conquering the whole of what would at one time, a later time, become China. And they created the Zhou Empire, or the Zhou Kingdom, because at that time they didn't call themselves emperors, just kings. What they had discovered was what was known to shaman or shaman was about the four stages of yin and yang. If you take generally the seasons of our year, the yin are going to be autumn and winter as one thing. That's yin. Yang becomes spring and summer. But we have 4 seasons. They recognized there was 4 seasons, so they created the 4 phases of yin and yang. And that's why you have the teardrop chasing each other, is because they're the different 4 stages of yin and yang moving into each other, constantly changing, like the seasons of the turning year. But they also recognized that we also manifested these 4 stages. And then they realized that as you could divide the year into 12 separate parts, the day into 12 separate parts, which is like a 2-hour clock rather than a 1-hour clock, which is the way we have it now. You could divide our emotional responses, which are our survival responses, in the same way. And that's what became the Zhouyi. So there are 24 basic emotions. There are 12 meridians, and each meridian behaves in a yin-yang way. So 12 times 2, 24. God, I'm good at maths. Anyway, 24 emotional responses, and each of them is about survival. Why do we fear? And what does fear do to us? Well, fear makes us want to run away. So some of you may immediately be thinking, fight or flight. Well, fight or flight is a misnomer. Most people understand this, who have bothered to think about it. Because why do we get frightened? Also, is there a choice? Either or. 4 phases predicts that there is no choice. That actually our emotions are a progression. Just as each of our emotions have a sliding scale. So when we talk about fear, we initially will say, oh well, I'm a bit concerned, I'm worried, I'm very worried, I'm very concerned. Then we get a bit frantic. So then we become fearful. I'm a little frightened. I'm a little fearful of that. Then we say, I am frightened. And that goes all the way up to terror. So it's a sliding scale. So I'm only going to talk about one emotion, not this sliding scale, not all the words we have for them. Fear is fear. But we've become fearful because of something. And if we understand there's a tiger standing in front of us and he looks hungry, well, we have a damn good reason to feel fear. Because we understand the tiger can eat us, can kill us. It can run faster than we can. It's stronger than we are. We don't stand much of a chance. If we run, its instincts trigger chasing after us. If we stand still and it's not hungry, it might just walk away. Might not. So because we've recognized the danger, we become fearful. If we don't know specifically what that danger is, a normal response is going to be yin. Yin responses are defensive. Yang responses are about opportunity. So our response is always going to be, in a negative sense, fear. So we want to run away. But we can't run away from the tiger because it's got sharp things and they're all pointing towards us. So say we try and run past it. Not a good plan. So we try and push it out of the way. Because we're angry. But we need anger to be able to have the muscular strength to push it out of the way. And because it resists, we get more angry. The more it resists, the more anger we get, the stronger we get. Anger blinds us to the consequences to the object we're angry at, but it also blinds us to the consequences to ourselves. We can be bleeding from wounds if we are very, very angry and not feel the pain or notice that we're bleeding. So anger has an effect on our eyes, it has an effect on our perception and our pain levels. So this is one of the phases, and it's the defensive part of that phase. And change, because it provokes fear, especially if we don't understand what the change is or what it's going to do to us, we feel fear, we get angry, especially if we can't avoid it. or someone's trying to make us change and we don't want to because we're frightened. Basically, we reject that person because they're making us fearful. So we don't want to be around him. He's not a nice person. Makes me feel frightened. Of course, we might not say that to ourselves. We might just say that he's not a nice person. We may not recognise that what we are really concerned about is the fact that we don't like being fearful and haven't to recognise it. So change, for the most part, can be good. It may take time to integrate it, but ultimately it will be then for our good. But some change is for our detriment and might kill us, and some change we've really got to work at to get the benefit out of. So why have I developed drawing like this? Why Asiatic bows? Why not drawn to here? I don't like change, just like you don't like change. When I was a small child and I threw something for the first time, there was just as much chance of me hitting myself as I was at hitting the thing that I was trying to hit. Thousands of stones later, in a few years, I could hit anything I threw or I could reach with the throw. It's pretty good. Most of us do get good at throwing things, even tantrums. So when I started doing darts, I didn't do this mamby-pamby throwing like this, where your darts barely stay in the dartboard. I threw like this, throwing a stone, throwing a dart. So my brain is used to working from here, to targeting from here. So when I come to doing archery, why would I give up thousands of hours and thousands of throwing things, practice, where my brain has integrated a particular way of targeting an object, to do this? Even if I do hit right in the centre. Think, yay, yes, I've hit it in the centre. But it's a weaker shot. Yes, it might be repeatable. But it's not what I've spent thousands of hours doing. They say you only become really masterful of any activity after you've put in 10,000 hours. I don't have the time. I'm 64. I've had cancer. So I don't know how long I've got. And I'm going to be damn well as good as I can be at doing what I enjoy. So I work out how to get as good as I can be. Shooting 2 bows today means I have to focus on what each of the bows do. Can't rely on something. Therefore I have to focus, concentrate on each bow, on each shot. Each shot is the first time I've drawn that bow. I train in Oriental therapies, and I was told that you have to treat each treatment, even if you've treated a person 1,000 times beforehand, you have to use that treatment as though it's the first. That way you gather more information, you're more sensitive, and the treatment generally goes better and has more effect. I simply am doing exactly the same thing. I'm treating every arrow as though it's the first arrow. Treating every bow as though it's the first time I've held it. The advantage is that I focus my mind on what I'm doing. I'm aware of more simply because it's the first time. The first time you drive to a new place, you are aware of everything on that journey. The 100th time you drive along there, you barely see much of what you do until you come to a junction, because you're not interested. You're not fearful of turning the wrong way, seeing something that might be dangerous to you. Eventually we become more blasé. So we don't notice stuff. The more intense we have to focus, because it's the first time, the more we have to gather information, the more we're aware of the wind, the light, the bow, the string, where we are physically within ourselves. Now, most of the people who draw 3 fingers to their mouth, because of the way the muscles are being used, cannot hold it very long. Using your full draw, I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. This is nearly a 50-pound bow. Combined pressure on my body is 100 pounds, thereabouts. Could I do that if I was only drawn to here, with all the muscular tension in my arm and back? It's unlikely. Try it. See how long you can hold your bow. See how long you can hold a bow of a similar draw weight. It's not easy. But if you use the right techniques, it is easier, because all of the pressure is traveling from this elbow, through this shoulder, through your body, through this shoulder, all the way through to your hand. It's not on your muscles. You're just holding it in place, so you can hold it for much longer. That for me is beneficial. So change to something which is more beneficial. I can shoot longer, and I can hold the bow for longer, and I don't get as many injuries, don't get as tired. Try it. I'm not saying it'll work for you. It depends on your bone structure to some extent.